Welcome to episode 183 of the Fully In It podcast. Do you find it hard sometimes to get the motivation to move forward in your business? You feel like you have to get things perfect. You have to figure it all out before you can actually do the things that you want to do. Maybe you've heard of the phrases a fear of failure, or perhaps even a fear of success. And you've wondered, is this me? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Today, I'm going to unpack what these terms actually mean, if there is any reality to them, and what you can do to shift if you find yourself in one of these categories. If this speaks to you, let's go ahead and dive into this episode. Welcome to the Fully In It podcast with Kate Saffel, a show for powerful moms growing life-changing businesses while showing up intentionally for their families. I teach you how to create a family-first and profitable business in less time by leveraging simple strategy, mom life-friendly systems, and above all, the mindset of going fully in it. You ready? Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. It is officially 6 a.m. in my part of the world while I am recording. I am just figuring out how to find time to record my podcast, how to create some content, and those sort of things now that I have a newborn, in addition to 3 older homeschooled kids. And it's been kind of a fun challenge for me because so many of my clients are new mamas or they are going to become moms again, and always finding time to do business can be a bit tough, but it's not impossible. It takes a bit of creativity and just a willingness to figure it out. For me personally, that has always been my approach from when I first started my business, when my youngest, well, now my current third, was around a year old, was how can I make this work? How can I figure it out? How can I make this as simple as possible? And my clients know, because I will say those things to them over and over again. How can you make this more simple? How can we take action today? And so I always want to be a product of what I preach. And I've noticed that my daughter, my newborn daughter, she's almost 10 weeks old now, which is wild to even think about. But I noticed that she wakes up to nurse around sometime between 5:30 to 6:30 a.m. most mornings. And it's really easy for me to nurse her and then roll over and go back to sleep because I need the sleep, right? Like we all do. But I started thinking, you know what? This is a really nice window that maybe I could use this to create some content while she sleeps, because then she'll typically sleep another like 2 hours, 3 hours. And I knew it would work because my other kiddos have had homeschool co-op, and we have to get up pretty early to get there on time. My oldest has to be there at 8:15. The other 2 start around 9. And where we live now, because we moved, it takes almost an hour to get there. And so I had gotten up, a couple of these homeschool co-op mornings after baby had been born, and she was sleeping and I was up getting everybody ready for school. And then I would, get her and nurse her and put her in the car seat and we would go. This is life with a fourth. All that to say, she is sleeping right now and I am snagging this window to record, even though everything in my body was like, oh, we could just sleep right now. We could totally just stay in bed. Bed is so warm and so comfortable. And I really had to fight that urge and, get up. And now I'm sitting here with you. So I hope that encourages you that if you're in a season where it is hard to find times to work, you're going to have to get creative and you're going to have to push past the discomfort just a bit, because your dreams for your family are worth it, right? So you can sacrifice just a tiny bit of comfort now and set your family up for, hopefully the next generations to come. The sky is the limit for you, and you get to decide how big you want to take this. So let's turn a little bit and start talking about the podcast topic for today. I'm getting ready to start the next round of my mastermind, the Family Fueled CEO Mastermind. That's going to be starting here shortly. And I'm very excited about it. I've been putting together content for these women, like materials to support them, and just generally mentally and, physically prepping for leading this container of just smart, ambitious moms who are from all over the world. And I was getting ready a couple of days ago and I was thinking about the podcast. I was thinking about the mastermind. I was thinking about moms who are successful in business, moms who aren't. What are the differentiators? What causes this? And there's so many different factors that go into what creates business success. And I want to just say from the onset that sometimes you can do everything right and it will feel like it's not working in business. And this is honestly par for the course. Having a business is not easy. It can be easeful, which I talk quite a bit about. It can be easeful in the sense of you can set up your rhythms, you can have a simple business, it can fit around family life. That can be easeful, but it's not always easy. And I think we have to differentiate between those two things. So all that to say, you can do everything right in business and it can feel like things aren't working and it feel like it's taking too long, and it can definitely impact your motivation. But this episode is not about motivation. It's about, is it a fear of failure? Is it a fear of success? This has more to do with your inner world and really how you choose to see things. So I'm just going to go on like a little side note here. Yesterday, I checked into Facebook, which I'm not active on Facebook. I also got off of Instagram. I'm really proud of myself because I'm switching out of being very social media focused and working on some different avenues in which to grow my business and just to keep it steady. However, I check in on those platforms every once in a while just to make sure I haven't received messages, as I've not deleted these accounts. And so I checked into my business Facebook, which goodness gracious, it's been years since I've used that, but people still message me there. And one of my former clients whom I coached in, I want to say 2020, this was a long time ago when I was doing just traditional life coaching for moms. She messaged me this reel that she had seen on Instagram, and it was about the school of psychology and how the modern psychology movement came about, and how there were two main leaders in the psychology world. There was Freud and there was Adler, and how the psychology community essentially got behind the Freudian approach to therapy and helping people overcome the challenges that they were facing. And the person who recorded this reel had some things to say about it, how he essentially thought we had chosen the wrong path because the Freudian approach really hyper focuses on your past. It's let's unpack your past. Let's go back to your childhood. Let's look at your traumas. Let's, work through all these things. And so traditional talk therapy spends a ton of time focusing on these things. And she had left me this note saying just how grateful she was for the coaching that we did together, because she realized watching this reel how different my approach was and how it was more of the Adler approach, which focuses on your sovereignty, like your ability to make decisions for yourself now, to focus on your values and your vision, and that you have control over your thoughts and that you can shift into the future that you want. Which ultimately, that is my approach to coaching. Even as a business coach, a life coach, that's kind of how I've always done it. And so she was just thanking me and just telling me what an impact that had made on her life and how much progress we made together and how quickly we made it in 6 months of coaching versus the years of traditional talk therapy she had done. And this is not to discount therapy in any regard. So I just want to be clear, because therapy has a place and coaching has a place and they are different. But all that to say, that was really validating for me to hear. And I'm sure you understand, because when we serve others, right, I serve with an open heart and I serve to the best of my ability. And sometimes I don't know how things go for the person, right? Like maybe after we wrap up a container, maybe I don't hear from them. And so when I get that kind of feedback, it is just the best thing in the world. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're the one who sent it to me, thank you for sending that. And of course, you can always message me and let me know what the impact of working with me has been, because that truly does make my day. Or if the podcast has supported you and you want to let me know, let me know. I would be so grateful to hear from you. Okay, side tangent done. Moving back into that fear of failure and fear of success. So how do you know? Could it be you? Which one is this for you? And ultimately, what I've noticed with my clients who have a fear of success, and by the way, I for a long time thought fear of success, this is like a made up thing. Nobody is afraid of success. Everybody wants success. People want to do well in life. Like, this is a normal human behavior. But the more that I have coached clients, the more that I've realized is that you can consciously want to be successful. You can tell yourself, I want a 6-figure business. I want to travel full time with my family like I had wanted so badly. You can say, I want to be able to pay the down payment on our dream home. I want to do all these things. You can desire it. And yet for some reason, you keep sabotaging yourself and you're not getting any closer to it. Ultimately, that is the best example I can give of a fear of success. You consciously want it, but subconsciously there is something inside of you that is afraid and is avoiding it. Now, it is different for every person who may be experiencing this, but here are some ideas of what you may be afraid of if this is you. So you may be afraid of having too much responsibility. You may be afraid that if you get too big, if you get too successful, if you make too much money, that it ultimately is going to mean too much on your plate. And us mothers know our plates are already a bit too full. We feel that, right? We feel it deep in our bones. I've got too much going on. There's too many moving pieces. And then what happens if your business takes off? I think that that is a legitimate fear for many mothers that causes them to self-sabotage a bit and either knowingly or unknowingly put the brakes on their own success. You're scared. You're scared it's going to be too much, and you're scared something is going to go wrong, and you're not going to have the bandwidth to handle it. That is an example of what could be causing a fear of success. Another one is of being known. You're afraid that if you're too successful, you will become known and people will come after you in some fashion or another. It's kind of like the analogy of, what is it? The frogs in the bowl. I know I've said this on the podcast before. I should probably like learn this analogy better before I give it, but here we go, right? It's the idea of like the frogs in the bowl and the one tries to climb out and then the others, or no, it's crabs. That's what it was. It was crabs. You got to give me grace. It is only 6:14 a.m. and I quit drinking coffee as well. I'm not drinking any caffeine anymore. So this is just straight morning Kate. But yeah, it was crabs. And so the crab tries to climb out of the bowl and the other crabs pull the said crab that wants to escape back into the bowl. And we're afraid of that. We're afraid of being different. We're afraid of not fitting into the tribe. There's very much still a tribal mentality of like, what if I stand out and people see me? And that feels really scary. And so that may be creating a fear of success. There could also be a marriage dynamic where you're afraid that if you become really successful, that may somehow impact the balance in your marriage. And I will just give a little bit of validity to that and say that there is some truth to that. I definitely noticed that in my own marriage, that as I became way more successful, it wasn't that Kirk wasn't super supportive, because he totally was. It's just that it kind of threw off the balance between the two of us and the roles that we play. That's a whole conversation for another podcast episode, not this one. But that's a valid one, definitely, to be afraid of, that could come with your success. But I will also tell you, as someone who I feel like I have been very successful. Maybe I'm not as successful as other people, but comparison never does us any good. I am so incredibly proud of the success that I've created for myself and for my family. Like, it feels very, very good. It hasn't been easy, and I'm very proud of myself for persevering all these years and making it happen, because of the gifts it has given to my family and how it has allowed me to help and serve people. So I can definitely say success is worth it, but you have to be open to what it will take to create it. And I don't mean in a way of like sacrificing your values, because I definitely don't believe in that, but just that you have to want it. You have to want it consciously, but you also have to want it subconsciously. And if you're listening to this and you're finding that maybe you might have a fear of success, I would highly recommend that you journal on that and you really get to the bottom of, like, what am I so afraid of? And do I need to be afraid of this? Is this actually something that's a real concern? Or can I trust that by the time I would get to that point, that I would figure out how to handle it and how to navigate it? I know for me, I have become so much more resilient and able to handle challenges that in the past I would have thought I could never handle. You will grow with your business. Your business grows, you grow. You become the CEO, you become the person who can handle these things. But ultimately, if you find you do have a fear of success, I'm here to support you too. You can always come into Expand Mentoring membership, reach out to me, find out what kind of coaching opportunities I have. Right now, it's primarily Expand. The mastermind is starting pretty soon, but there is help to be had so that you can move past this behavior and create the business that it is that you have been dreaming of. But what about a fear of failure? What about that? I think we're better acquainted with our own fear of failure, especially going through the school system. I think we women tend to have a fear of failure because we really set ourselves up. We want to do things perfectly. We don't want to disappoint people. We want to get it right from the very beginning. And I think what ends up happening is that a fear of success can sometimes lead to the fear of failure. And what I mean by that is that if you're subconsciously afraid of success, you may hyper-focus on your fear of failure. I see this with my clients. And so ultimately they turn into perfectionists in their business. They keep redoing the plans. They keep changing their niche. They want to change up their branding. They're focused on researching and getting it right before they take even one step. And so it means that it takes their business years and years to get off the ground versus months. You have to have a bit of a messiness about the way you grow your business to really get it going. You have to be willing to make mistakes, do less than perfect work. And this doesn't mean that it won't still be quality. But when your own internal standard is so high, and if you're that person, I'm talking to you right now, right? You always want to get things perfect. If you just lower your bar a tiny bit, I promise you, nobody will notice. Nobody will notice. You may feel uncomfortable. You may not like it, but other people will not have a clue. And this is coming from a person who has been creating content and been in the online business world since 2015. So I know what I'm talking about. And I've made a lot of mistakes, but never once have I had someone reach out and say, Kate, I saw how much you messed up X, Y, and Z. Or, that guide you created, it just didn't really look perfect. It could have been better. You could have done a better job on it. No one ever says these things. But what they do say is thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for creating this. Thank you for sharing this. Thank you for providing this. So let that encourage you. If you have a fear of failure and you slip into perfectionism, remember who you're doing it for and why you are doing it. This isn't about you. It's really easy to make what we do about ourselves. And there's no bottom to that pit of making it about yourself. You can always have to do it better. You can fight against your own inclinations, but ultimately, if you want to succeed, if you want to overcome your fear of failure or your fear of success, you have to do it for the people that you love. the future people you're going to help, the people in your home, yourself, right? Your greater mission in the world and the legacy that you're going to leave for the next generation. These are the things that should motivate you forward. These are the things that have me up at 6:21 in the morning now saying all of this to you. It's from love and it's from service and it's from a perspective of I just had to get over myself, right? It's kind of the equivalent of if you've ever wanted to have people over to your home and you want to entertain. Do you get wrecked about thinking about them seeing your house and how clean it is and how perfect it looks? Or do you allow a little bit of like the normalcy of family life to show through? I think of that example often because we can just make ourselves absolutely nuts trying to create a projection of perfection. And it's unnecessary. We need more humanity. We need more realness. That is what people gravitate toward, and that's what they connect to. So I know that you're going to do your best. You're always still going to show up and do your best that you can, but lower the bar a little bit and make it a little bit easier on yourself so that you can take the forward moving action you need to take. That we're no longer getting stuck in either of these, the fear of failure or the fear of success. I hope that this episode was helpful for you. As always, I would love to hear from you. So here's the scoop. I'm not really on social media. I mean, you can message me there. It may take me a little while to see your message, and that's totally okay if you message me on Instagram or Facebook. I will eventually get to it. I'll eventually check in. But if you want a quicker response, I would email me hello@happierandmotherhood.com. And I always love receiving your messages. And if you're on my email list, the really cool thing you can do is you can hit reply to any email you've received from me, and it will come directly to my inbox, and I will get it, and I will respond back and say hi to you. And I would love to hear what about this episode spoke to you. And like I said, if you're ready to get into community, you can come into Expand Mentoring membership. You can find out more about the mastermind, and my private coaching is on a wait list currently, but you can find all of that at happierandmotherhood.com. I hope that you are doing amazing. I'm going to wrap this up because I'm sure baby girl is going to be waking up. I don't know. I maybe have another hour or so. You never know with a baby. Okay, my love, I will see you on the next episode.